Usually when I get my hands on expired film, the first thing I'm thinking about is what is the ISO of this film. And depending on what the ISO of the box speed is, how it was stored, if it's black and white, if it's color, if it's light film, I go about determining what I'm going to shoot the entire roll at. Am I going to shoot it at box speed? Am I going to drop it 2 stops? Am I going to drop it 1 stop? Am I going to overexpose it a certain amount of stops? But for some time now, I've been thinking about what would it look like if I shot the entire roll at different exposures and then develop it at box speed. And that's what I decided to do, and this is the first roll I'm going to be doing this with. Now I have with me here a box of AGFA APX 25. I got 4 rolls of this APX 25. I got 1 roll of 120 and 3 rolls of 35mm film. I mean, usually I hate shooting slow speed film, mostly because you can only shoot it when you have a lot of sun, and here in Canada we don't always have a lot of sun. And usually when I put these slow speed films in my cameras, I like to shoot everything in one go, and I haven't found a reason to go out and shoot an entire roll of film in just one sitting. But for this roll, what I actually wanted to do was use this to test exposure. I wanted to go out and shoot this roll of film, shoot it at box speed, shoot it 1 stop over, shoot it 2 stops over, shoot it 3 stops over, shoot it 1 stop under, in different settings and with different subjects, with different stationary subjects, just so I could see what this would look like. So I'm just experimenting, just playing around, just seeing what I can get. And that's what I decided to do in this video. For this video, I'm going to be going around my local area here in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. I'm going to be trying to find stationary objects, stationary subjects that are not going to move. I'm going to try not to shoot when it's not too cloudy, when the clouds are passing. I'm going to try as much as possible to get the exact same framing, get the exact same subject, get the exact same situations. The only thing that's going to be different is I'm going to be dropping it different stops. I'm going to be using my trusty Yashica A. This camera has been with me for a couple of months now. It's my go-to medium format camera. I trust this camera, and this camera is pretty easy to use, especially because it only has 4 shutter speeds. It has 25, 50, 100, 300. I'm going to be using a combination of the shutter speeds and the aperture to drop it different stops. And yeah, but without talking too much, let's just dive right into it. You're going to watch me take a couple of shots, and then we're going to hop onto the computer. I'm going to break down what I got, and we'll see what I get. With this scene right here, I really like the way the sun was hitting these couches. I love the different, we have greens in the background, we have some blues, we have some creams. There's different colors that could really test this film. There's different exposures, there's shadows, there's light, and there's just a nice little composition here. I feel like this is a good shot to help me determine what this film can do. So I'm going to post up here and get a couple of shots. Just 2 stops over, 2 stops. That's it for this scene. We're gonna go to the next scene. I also like this composition here, mostly because there's a sign in the back that could actually test the sharpness of this film, just so I can see if I can get like a good reading on the light on the sign in the background. Also, the light is hitting this tractor trailer, this abandoned tractor trailer here, so I can see how I can get some detail in there. There's some shadows, there's some highlights, there's some greens again, there's some yellows, there's some reds. Obviously the sky is blue. There's different things I can see here, so I can test what this film can actually do. And let's see what I can get here as well. With this scene with the car here, I only had 2 more shots left on the roll, so I just decided that I was going to just take 2 shots because I really like the way this car was spotted up here. I developed this by myself at home using Rodinal. I'm going to put all the timing and description up here so you can see what I used. I also scanned this myself using my Epson V600 photo scanner. I used a Negative Lab Pro to convert this, and I gave every single thing the exact same settings and changes here in Lightroom, so we can dive right into these photos and see what I got. The way we're gonna do this, I'm gonna show you the results that I got. The results are very, very interesting. Taking a look at everything that I see right here, and then we're gonna break it down, try to see if we can save the ones that are overexposed or bring up the ones that are underexposed. But this film expired in 1992, so it was 31 years expired. 31 years expired. Keep that in mind as we go through these images. So this is the first scene that I shot right here. I'm going to go through each one and tell you what the stops are, and then we are going to compare and contrast all of them. So this is the first scene, and this was shot at box speed. Yes, this is box speed. You can see how much detail we have here in the shadows. See how much detail we have here in the highlights. The highlights are a little blown out over here in the sky, but it was a blue sky, so I wasn't really expecting much from this film stock. So yeah, this is box speed. This is 1 stop over, 2 stops over, 1 stop under. For this particular scene, I didn't shoot 3 stops over, and I didn't shoot more than 1 stop under. Let's go to the next one. This is box speed. 1 stop over, 2 stops over, 3 stops over, and then 1 stop under. And then for the last scene with the cars, this is box speed, and this is 1 stop over. Now, to dive into a bit of analysis when it comes to the images, first of all, let's talk about the box speed. The box speed on this is actually really, really impressive. As I said, this is a 32-year-old expired film, and box speed is coming out as if it was brand new. Now, what this tells me was that this was definitely stored in proper conditions that enabled me to actually shoot it at ISO 25. Now, if I was going to go by the 1 stop per decade rule and drop this a couple of stops, maybe 1, 2, or maybe even 3 stops. So this is 2 stops right here. That means I would have overexposed the entire roll, right? And if I did it 3 stops because it's 30 years expired, this is what I would have gotten for everything in this roll. Now, this is completely blown out. There's nothing I can do to save this one. It's done. Right? That means I would have overexposed the entire roll, and I did good, I did good actually running this test and seeing what this roll can actually do. As I said, I have 3 other 35mm rolls that I'm actually going to be shooting later on. Maybe by the time I get this video out, I would have shot a couple of rolls, and if I do, I'll post some videos on my blog, so make sure you check it out, filmstockreel.com. But yeah, let's do some comparisons between a couple of these shots. I'm going to put up box speed, and yeah, this is box speed and 1 stop over. Right, looking at what we have here in the shadows, the shadow detail here, if we look here, it's completely gone. There's not much detail we can see in there, but there's nothing really that you can see in here as well too. There's nothing to see. The highlights are a little blown out. I like the contrast. This scene was really, really contrasty, so it would be really hard to get proper exposure for the highlights and the shadows. But if we take a look at the box speed and the 2 stops overexposed, now this is not really nice. I don't want to shoot this at 2 stops underexposed. Yeah, so taking a look at the box speed and the 1 stop under, you can see the difference in the highlight detail and the shadow detail. It's like it'll be a lot to be able to save anything in the shadows here, and it's not really that nice, right? So let's go on to the next scene. So if we take a look at this box speed here, and this is 1 stop overexposed. So we have box speed and 1 stop overexposed here on this scene, and take a look at the detail that we get here on this sign. Like, this is actually crazy. The fact that we can see this is 30-year-old expired. I don't know what I was expecting from 30-year-old expired film, but like I just wasn't expecting this much detail, this much sharpness, this much everything. Even in this one that's 1 stop of exposed, you can still see the detail in here. And I don't know, maybe I like the 1 stop over a little bit more than the box speed, but yeah, it looks pretty nice. And now this is 2 stops over. Nothing much you can do there. This is 3 stops over. There's definitely no saving. Let me see. Can we even save the highlight detail here? If I bring down the exposure, it starts to look a little bit not good, right? There's nothing you can really do to save this 3 stops over. And that is what I would have shot it at if I went with the 1 stop per decade rule. Let's see if we can definitely save this 1 stop over. That 3 stops over is just not usable at all. This can bring down the exposure a bit, bring down the shadows a bit. We can definitely save something here, and we can definitely bring it to look like it was shot at box speed. So the 1 stop over, definitely usable, and 2 stops over, 3 stops over definitely can be used. Let's see the 1 stop under. 1 stop under, I feel like this can definitely be saved as well too. If I bring up the shadows a bit, bring up the exposure a bit, it starts to look like box speed. So 1 stop over, 1 stop under on this film, you can definitely save, you can definitely use it and bring it back up to box speed. But 2 stops over, 3 stops over, you can't save it. Those are some of my thoughts on this particular film stock, the test that I was able to do. Let me know your thoughts when it comes to these tests that I was able to run. If you have any issues with it, if you have any questions about it, if you have any thoughts about this particular film stock, let me know in the comment section down below. And also, this is my first time doing something like this, so if you have any suggestions as to how I can make the process better, let me know in the comment section down below as well. But yeah, that brings me to the end of this video. As I said, I'm going to be posting this on my blog, filmstalker.com, so you can take a look at all of these, dive into them, and see and make your own conclusions based on what I was able to get from this roll of AGFA APX 25. If this video has brought you any value at all, make sure you do the things, hit the like button, and also subscribe to the channel, as this goes a very long way to making sure I produce more content like this. Until next time, make sure you stay safe, make sure you shoot film, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Yeah, I'm probably gonna shoot some street. I'm gonna shoot some street photography with this APX 25. Maybe I could even push it to like 50 or 100. I'd love to see what I can get if I push it to like 100. I feel like it would be way too contrasty, and I'm not really a contrast type of guy, you know. But who knew that this is what you could do with this? And this is actually pretty nice. I don't know. Anyways, bye. Thanks for sticking around though. If you stuck around this far, you're a real one. I see you. Shout out. Shout out to you. Bye. Not for real. Bye this time.